Jones. He is a certified business coach and founder of the Coaching Hour. He started his first business when he was 16, which started a lifetime of innovating in every industry he has worked in. He hosted the number one rated morning show in Duluth and a late night talk show on WCCO. Did that rival Adam Carolla at all?
Oh, absolutely.
WCCO Radio in Minneapolis. His last coaching and training company went global in less than 2 years and currently serves the U.S., Australia, Canada, and United Kingdom. Kudos. The Coaching Hour works with small businesses to attract a steady stream of ideal clients. It also provides a path to mastery of conversational agility that helps sales professionals become someone people love to buy from. It's our pleasure to introduce business coach Jason Jones.
Thank you very much for that. It's great to see you. To begin, I'd like to take all of you back to 2003. And when I was thinking about this presentation and thinking about 2003, it was like, wow, that is so long ago. In 2003, I was in a pretty serious transition in my life. I had just completed my college degree late, and I had just left WCCO Radio because what didn't work. It wasn't becoming full-time like I had wanted it to. And so I was back out, and I was deciding, well, I'm going to go get a job now and try to figure out what I'm going to do next. And part of figuring out what to do next was really to answer the question, what can I find to do that I love as much as radio, that perhaps pays a little bit better and doesn't require me to move to another city if the job doesn't work out. And so as I began that, I made up a great resume and I sent it out, and I interviewed for a lot of different jobs and things like that. And the only people that thought that my communication skills from radio would be valuable was a phone bank. And so I find myself months later, after the good times of going through the training, I find myself, I'm sitting out on the floor, and I'm sitting in the phone bank, and I got the headset on, and I'm taking these calls, and I start asking myself these questions. The first question was, how did I get here? Like, just a year ago, I was at the top of my game in radio. I'm in a major market radio station. I'm in a major market for a radio career. I was like really climbing. I was kind of on my way to the top. Things are going great. And now I find myself sitting, being a phone banker, talking about checking accounts and opening up credit cards. Now, not that there's anything wrong with that job or that position. There is nothing wrong. It's a perfectly respectable career and a respectable position to be in. But in the context that I was in, I was starting to ask myself these questions of like, what went wrong? Like, how did I mess this up somehow? Or what's wrong with me that my career didn't go the way that I wanted it to? And on later reflection, what I discovered is that those questions that I asked actually led me to very specific answers. It took my brain, because my brain said, I have to answer these questions that you're asking yourself, and had me answering those. But the kind of questions, when you ask yourself the question, what's wrong with me? Or what's wrong with this situation? Or why is this so unfair? Or why can't I get a break? The answers you start discovering to those questions are not very supportive answers. They're not answers that actually have you realize a possibility. They're not answers that have you see another path or another route. Actually, they're answers that take you down a rabbit hole, maybe have you inventing things about yourself that are unpleasant or unlikable or unworkable that you hadn't even thought of before because you asked your brain to actually entertain it. And so tonight, what I'm really here and I really want to share with you and impress upon you is the importance of asking yourself the right kind of questions. Because we ask ourselves questions and answer them every single day when we get up. When you go into the closet and decide, what am I going to wear today? What am I going to have for breakfast? Am I going to go to the gym? Or am I just going to stay home? Am I going to sleep in? Am I going to get up when I said I was going to get up? Every day we're asking ourselves and answering those questions. And it's those questions that create the answers that actually drive our behavior. Do you know, in 1993, a group of behavioral scientists did a study. They surveyed 40,000 people, and they asked them if they had planned to buy a car in the next 6 months. And of those 40,000 people, 35% The buying rate of that versus a control group was up 35% because they entertained the question about buying a car. There's another study similarly that was done that asked people about going to vote. Like, are you planning to go and vote this November? And the people that entertained that question, 25% more of those actually went out and voted. The blood bank, they did a similar survey where they asked people about donating blood and giving blood. And noticed that of that group, compared to a control group, 8.7% more of them actually went out and donated blood. Though that's not as significant as the other numbers, it's still an increase. And so what it starts to tell me is it tells me about the questions that we entertain start to really guide and direct where we go with our behavior, where we're going to take ourselves, what's going to happen next, what our reality is. Because the truth is, when we look at the book, a group of brain scientists wrote this book called Believing Brain, and the biggest discovery in the premise of this entire book is that our reality is constructed by our beliefs and attitudes in our heads, not by everything that we think is, this is the way it is and we agree on it. That's a chair. You think that's a chair? Sure, that's a chair. It's our beliefs and ideas that construct what we see and don't see. Things can be actually invisible to us. And so it's the questions and the answers that we're answering about ourselves that even inform our reality and what then really truly becomes possible for ourselves or absolutely not possible for ourselves. It wasn't until that I started doing some personal transformational work and taking on some course and really doing some serious self-work that I really started to recognize the power of my questions as I was introduced to a new set of questions. Because what I've come to realize is that we actually have a very limited number of questions we ask ourselves. We ask ourselves and others very, very few questions. And by broadening and actually thinking about what are more interesting questions that we could ask, both ourselves and others, a whole new world can open up for us, a whole new set of possibilities. Our ability to sell can improve. Our ability to improve ourselves can happen, because what we find is that with the right kind of questions, our brain kicks in and seeks out the answer. So when we're at those lowest points in our life, when we're at the moments where we're doubting ourselves the most, and this is especially for the entrepreneurs in this room, because every entrepreneur goes through, the entrepreneur life phase. Like, this is great, this is so awesome, I'm so glad I did this. Well, what was I, crazy? This is the worst idea I've ever had. Oh wait, no, things are picking up. I think this is going to work. No, I'm going to quit. This has got to get out of this. I got to find a job. That's the normal life of an entrepreneur, right? And so ask those questions that you're asking yourself instead of what's wrong with this? Why isn't this working? Why can't I sell better? Why is it that coach over there gets more clients than I do? Why is that? Those questions are not going to lead me or lead my brain to constructive answers. When I could come out of a sales meeting that didn't go well and I could say, what was missing from that meeting that was present in the meeting that somebody actually said yes? What did I do what did I say or do that was missing? Or what's possible, or even asking myself in those moments of doubt, what do I really want right now? And then once you identify what it is you really want, what step, what action can I take to actually have that and achieve that right now? What is the one step? Because if there's one thing that I've learned from all the high stakes conversations, of which a third of them actually turned out, but all of them were anxiety-producing, blood pressure-raising situations where everything is on the line. This is a make-or-break conversation. That sound familiar? This sales meeting has got to happen. This account has got to come through. And all that pressure you put on yourself, the one thing I really learned is that whatever happens in those situations is going to inform you as to what to do next. So you go in, and if you're saying, well, whatever happens in this situation, whatever the outcome is, it's going to tell me what I need to do next. So if you are having a make-or-break conversation with this big account and you don't get it, well, what is there to do next? Go find another one. There's somebody else out there to go through. Pick up and move. And what these kind of questions do is they keep you in the realm of creating what's possible and moving forward and taking the next action, rather than feeling a victim, feeling like you need to hide, feeling like you need to heal, feeling like someone needs to fix you. Because nobody needs fixing. We're all fine. We're all good just the way we are. It's all up here and how we're able to shape how we see and how we think. And the best way that you can shape the way you see the world and what's possible for you is by asking yourself questions. that open the world to you. Thank you.